Welcome to Fox Soul's Black Report, your source for black news, views, and opinions. Today is Tuesday, January 11th, 2022. I'm Seth Lemon.
Peace and blessings. I'm Nielle.
I'm Romeo.
I'm Demi Lobo. And on today's report, President Biden receives backlash from civil rights leaders. Chicago students return to school, and we have your HBCU headlines.
We also have a healthcare expert here to break down open enrollment for healthcare insurance and a new COVID-19 vaccine that specifically targets the Omicron variant.
Lots to talk about today, soulmates, and you know we're going to do it from our voice and our truth. So let's get to it.
President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris are in Georgia today, visiting HBCUs, Morehouse College and Clark Atlanta University, speaking to the nation as they work to push voting rights legislation through Congress. Biden, he arrived this morning and he's expected to throw his full support behind changing the Senate's filibuster rule to get these bills passed. The White House says the president believes the change is necessary to defend, quote, this basic right. But some of the very same civil rights groups that helped Democrats turn Georgia blue in 2020 boycotted today's event in protest of what they characterize as White House inaction. The groups Black Voters Matter, Protect Democracy, the New Georgia Project Action Fund, and even the NAACP all skipped the event. One group's co-founder said there's no need for additional photo ops, adding that the only satisfactory response now is to pass the John Lewis and Freedom to Vote bills immediately. Meanwhile, on Capitol Hill, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, he's expected to force a vote on the rules change by Monday, that's MLK Day, if Republicans plan to use the 60-vote legislative filibuster to block these bills from advancing. The Senate is considering, and the White House, as they figure this out with Democrats, a couple of different options that they could consider to be able to change the filibuster and get this done. Now, we're going to find out more as the president and vice president lay out their plan, but it's great to see that he has now kind of moved, because this is such an important right for all Americans to change this rule for the moment, if at least just temporarily.
You know, right now it seems like a game of I scratch my back, you scratch my back, I scratch your back. Like you said in the story, these are the very same people, the very same groups that rallied the black community up. We'll just call a spade, rallied the black community up, helped give voter turnout. And so, hey, it's like, if you're not going to make sure we're taken care of, we're not going to support you in what you're doing. So I love this. I don't think that it was for 1 minute. There was we're going to talk about it in another story, that it might have been an accident. I don't think this is an accident that these groups didn't show up. And so hopefully President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris take heed to what's happening here. And I like it too. I don't want photo ops. I want action right now.
Absolutely.
The heat is rising, and I love how civic leaders are playing a lot of strategy. So we know that Black Voters Matter, Latasha Brown and Cliff Albright are like, no photo ops. But then you have a group of black women that showed up today in Georgia at those colleges. I'm talking about Bishop Leah Daltrey, who is the former DNC president and a part of the Black Church PAC. And she was there because their black women understand the need to still support Vice President Kamala Harris. So there's a lot of strategy going on. The week will continue to heat up for the push for voting rights. But this is an uphill battle, and they want the filibuster gone. And just as of last night, Chuck Schumer put the vote on the floor for just a simple vote to tee up the Voting Rights Act. And guess what? McConnell shot it down. So there's going to be a huge fight this week, and black civic leaders are putting on the heat to make sure that our voices are heard and letting the Biden administration know we ain't playing this week. All right, our next story continues with the same conversation. Another notable figure missing from the voting speech today, General Democrat gubernatorial candidate Stacey Abrams. She wasn't there. Now, an aide says Abrams was unable to attend due to a scheduling conflict. She currently is running to unseat Georgia Governor Brian Kemp, who she ran against in 2018. Now, despite her absence, Abrams expressed support for the event, welcoming Biden back to Georgia in a tweet.
School is back in session for the third largest city in the nation. And you know, we're talking about my city of Chicago. Teachers and the Board of Education in Chicago agreed to end a work stoppage that left students at home for the last 4 school days. Students will return to in-person learning on Wednesday, tomorrow. Labor leaders and the mayor of Chicago are both relieved to have reached an agreement.
I'm personally exhausted and glad this is over. This has been a very unpleasant experience. The CTU felt like we were asking for a set of reasonable things. And so when we were bargaining with the board over winter break, they just basically said it's impossible for us to do all the things that you're asking. And they made it seem as if somehow it was our fault for asking they either adopt widespread safety measures or take a short-term temporary pause to remote in order to get their act together.
Some will ask who won and who lost. No one wins when our students are out of the place where they can learn the best and where they're safest. We love our teachers. We continue to support our teachers and do everything we can because they go above and beyond to support the students and their families, and we can never lose sight of that reality.
Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot there. So the deal still must be approved by the union's 25,000 rank and file members. So I am so happy that Chicago Public Schools and the union were able to reach an agreement. But a conversation online that's happening right now is that while Chicago Public School students were out, children who had the opportunity to, their parents who had the opportunity to afford private school, they still had an opportunity to get learning, while our Chicago Public Schools, which is what I attended, which is public learning, had to be out. Also, Nicole Hannah-Jones tweeted something so powerful, and she said, anyone know how many Chicago Public School students even have remote devices since their decision not to go into school occurred late last night? And so that's another problem here, is that the private school students still could go to school. Do we know that everybody that has to stay at home and have in-home learning, do we know that they even have the proper devices? And that was one thing that wasn't talked about, or I really feel like was thought through when they made this decision.
No, I agree with that. And at the end of the day, look, you want to get the kids back in school, but it depends on what city, what state you are in, because we already know numbers are higher in certain areas, and no one really knows how to handle this pandemic. They can't get the right remedy or the right blueprint, but it's good that the kids are back in school. Think about the parents that can't afford to stay off work to take care of the kids when they are at home. That's a problem. We don't want kids being out of school and parents losing jobs as well. All right, 16 Ivy League and elite U.S. universities were sued in federal court for allegedly illegally conspiring to eliminate competitive financial aid offered to students in a price-fixing scheme. The suit alleges the 16 institutions consider the financial means of many other students and families who apply in 3 main ways. The first, by prioritizing the admission of the children of wealthy past or potential future donors. The second, through a practice known as enrollment management. And third, by routinely and widely considering the financial means of the students admitted off of wait lists. The suit alleges a conspiracy artificially inflated the cost of attendance for all students receiving financial aid and resulted in the overcharging of over 170,000 financial aid recipients by at least hundreds of millions of dollars. When you talk about financial aid, student loans, sometimes it takes a lifetime to pay those things back, and it's so unfair knowing that the ones that need it, they're the ones that are going to have to get hit in the pocket the most. At the end of the day, this is a system that's broken, and they've been getting away with this for a long, long time.
Yeah, this is what systemic racism looks like in our education system, and why affirmative action is so important. We know that when you talk about Ivy League schools, it is minorities that are the ones that tend to have financial aid the most. And so you know that Ivy League schools are triple the cost of regular or even HBCU schools. So now you are putting so much debt on these individuals, and all they want is an education. So I'm glad that this lawsuit happened, and I hope that it continues to address systemic racism within our education system.
Yeah, I think I've got more interest on my student loans now than the actual amount I borrowed to begin with.
Which is why Joe Biden should have no reason cutting
Not
50K.
to cancel. Yep. All right. Well, the family of Ahmaud Arbery declined a plea deal in the federal civil rights case against the 2 men convicted of killing the young jogger. Family attorney Lee Merritt said the Justice Department approached the family earlier this month inquiring about a deal that would force Travis and Gregory McMichael to spend 30 years in prison if they admit that their actions were motivated by racial hatred. Arbery's mother told CBS that she rejected the offer because she wants to see the men stand trial for these hate crime charges. Prosecutors argued that the defendants intimidated and threatened Arbery, interfering with his right to use of a public street, all because of his race. All 3 of the men were sentenced to life in state prison, 2 of them without any chance of parole.
A federal judge sentenced a former Oklahoma police officer to more than 20 years in prison for killing his daughter's black boyfriend nearly a decade ago. A court convicted Shannon Kepler of second-degree murder Friday for killing 19-year-old Jeremy Lake back in 2014. It was the 5th time Kepler stood trial for the killing. Now, 3 of the state's trials ended with hung juries. The 4th trial resulted in manslaughter charges, which were later overturned by a U.S. Supreme Court ruling that Oklahoma lacked jurisdiction to prosecute crimes on tribal lands. The most recent case, a 5th trial, was the first time Kepler faced federal charges. Now, the 24-year police veteran, he testified that he shot the teen because he felt he was threatened and believed he had a gun. Police never located any weapon on him or near the scene of the crime. I am so sick and tired of white men saying that they were terrified of a black person, terrified of a black man, because let's just call a spade a spade. I know that's my term for today is a spade a spade. So he looked this black man up. He drove his wife's car. He also dressed in all black. He took a gun and he shot an unarmed black man. So I'm tired of the narrative that you were afraid because this was premeditated murder, and 25 years is not long enough.
No, it's definitely not long enough. At the end of the day, you think about what happened in this situation and how bad it was. I'll tell you like this. We hear this story over and over again. It's the same story, different city, different state, and it does not add up. It does not make any sense. And at the end of the day, he has to do this time. Man, understand this. This man was on a mission, and we know he was. The North Carolina deputy has been placed on administrative leave after a fatal shooting that sparked a local protest. The Cumberland County Sheriff's Office said that Deputy Jeffrey Hash has been placed on administrative leave pending an internal investigation. Police in Fayetteville say a preliminary investigation determined Jason Walker ran into traffic and jumped on a moving vehicle. The off-duty deputy shot Walker and then called 911. The investigators with the North Carolina State Bureau of Investigation have now taken over the shooting investigation.
Kanye West plans to head overseas for a meet and greet with Vladimir Putin, according to Billboard. Now, the artist, now known as Ye, is expected to fly to Moscow later this year to meet the Russian president and perform his Sunday service set. Now, West associates say he wants to expand his business endeavors in the Russian Federation. Now, the trip could happen this spring or summer. Ye is coordinating his schedule to also meet with a Russian billionaire real estate developer. Now, associates say Russia could become Kanye's second home. I find this so interesting because we know, and it is reported, and the pictures show, that Kanye West met with Jared Kushner last Friday for dinner in Miami. Now, the 2 people that he's meeting with are the same 2 people that former President Trump met with, and when he did the pageant, and that he tried to get those dirt tapes on Hillary Clinton. Remember that situation and the tapes and everything? It's the same 2 people. So, and Jared Kushner was affiliated with that situation as well. So it's just really interesting how these 2 individuals are coming back up. Putin is involved, and now Kanye is involved. And like we said before, we like the old Kanye. This new Kanye, it's not looking good.
You know, I still think he's the same Kanye personally. You know, he also is, this is about his business endeavors. This deal, a deal that he's trying to do, one of his Russian friends are an artist. And so that artist is going to be able to be a superstar in the U.S. in return. Kanye West could skyrocket to $10 billion with a deal. So I think that it's all about money. I don't know, not politics.
That's kind of what people have said about President Trump and his relationship with Putin because of financial dealings there. There are questions of what Putin knows and what their interactions were. I mean, he was the sitting president of the United States when he met with Putin with no translators, no one else in the room. So it's strange that Kanye was also friendly with Donald Trump, and now he's kind of venturing down the same path. I'm interested to see what the end result is. This reminds me of when Dennis Rodman went to North Korea.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah.
Same thing. It's the exact same thing.
I'm with you, Seth. This is very interesting. You meet with Jared Kushner on Friday, and then by Tuesday, you're meeting with Putin with the same people that tried to get dirt on Hillary Clinton. This does not pass the smell test.
You know, being from Chicago, it's hard for me to accept Kanye slander, so I try.
Well, you got to accept it.
I
You
know.
got to take it.
Okay,
All right.
we'll try.